It's time for Q&A in the Kitchen. It's the podcast and YouTube series that tattoo artists and body piercers discuss some of the more common questions and concerns. Today we're going to talk about infections, what you should do, how you know it's infected, and what to do from there. This is brought to you in part by Skin Kitchen Tattoo, the Axiom Body Piercing Studio, and Death Before Decaf. So, let's join our panel discussion. I'm DaVo from the Axiom.
I'm Westley from Skin Kitchen.
From Skin Kitchen. And I'm Jack from Skin Kitchen.
There we go.
All right.
Okay. So, yeah.
I'm a tattoo guy. He's a tattoo guy. He's a piercer guy.
Yeah, I do the piercing of the bodies.
Yeah.
So how would I know if my tattoo is infected?
Lots of pus.
Yep.
Lots of pus, pain.
Redness.
Visit from the FBI usually comes soon after.
Yeah.
They'll CDC. They will tent your house, and they'll start probably about 4 generations back and euthanize your entire family.
Okay.
Or you can. Usually, what happens is you get some swelling. It'll be kind of angry. Usually, a little bit of heat, redness around the edges with some swelling. Usually a day after, 2 days after, it should feel kind of like a mild sunburn. Maybe if it's a rather big piece with a lot of saturation, you can almost kind of have like an achy feeling just from all the saturating.
Sometimes a little bit of bruising.
Yep, that's not uncommon. When I got my throat done, I had quite a bit of bruising all the way down into my chest even. So inner arms a lot of times can bruise, things like that. But that doesn't mean you're infected.
No.
Usually it's excessive heat, and the scab will sometimes almost kind of almost bubble in a way. It'll just look like your body is just get out, and your body does that by creating, pus or, a fluid to push out of you and to cleanse that out.
Yep.
So
because it's pushing out that infection.
Yeah, it wants
That's
to
how,
be
a lot of
rid
people
of it.
don't understand that. They're like, oh, we battle the infection inside. No, the first thing your body does is it tries to eliminate that infected tissue and fluids and pushes it out of the wound, no matter what it is. And with like a tattoo, it's a lot of small little wounds.
Yes.
Right.
I like how you said excessive heat too, because it should be like if it's really infected, you should almost be able to put your hand above the tattoo and almost feel that heat rating.
Yeah, and what that is, that's created literally from friction from all the little organisms in your body going and that creates a fever. It's a localized fever, but it's a fever from your body attacking what it doesn't want in there, and that's the infection.
Plus, the fever actually makes the area less habitable for the pathogen.
So it's kind of a double whammy thing. It creates that heat as part of the reason and part of the. It's kind of it's going to happen anyway, but it happening does help your body try to get rid of it, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. So if you are infected, what I usually say, other than what I legally have to say, is if you think you're infected, you should see your doctor. Now, it's scary. From my point of view, it's iffy because some doctors are totally fine with tattoos. They think they're great. Other doctors look at you like you shouldn't have it, we'll say. So some doctors will offer you care and offer you the best way that you can not only get rid of the infection but not harm your tattoo. Other doctors will take a scrub and they will scrub your tattoo and they will to get the infection out, and then they will put you on antibiotics because they don't like them.
Yeah.
So yes, if you're infected, you should see your doctor. But if, say, I was infected, what I would do and what I've done is if I'm feeling that excessive heat and I can tell it's getting angry, it's not doing what it should, simply what I do is I get a paper towel, I fold it twice into a square, I get isopropyl rubbing alcohol and I saturate that towel with it and I apply it to the tattoo and I hold it on there. So I kind of just, it's an alcohol compress. So I put that on there for about a minute or so and I let that alcohol get in there and do its thing. I take that off and I'll do that probably 2 times a day for a couple days. I won't put any ointments on it. I won't put anything else on it because in my opinion, all that's doing is creating a very magnetic place for all things that like to stick to stuff go.
Well, petroleum takes a long time for it to get off your skin.
Right.
Most people don't understand that, and that's why they usually run to the medicine cabinet and start pulling out all the ointments.
Right.
And it also blocks the flow of oxygen, and it can impede your body's ability to actually. Yeah. What it does is it breaks down it. The whole purpose of those antibiotics, which is it's kind of a misnomer to call it an antibiotic, is that it reduces the ability of that foreign pathogen to multiply.
Right.
It just cuts down its breeding pattern.
It snips their nuts.
Yes.
Yep.
So you're creating this film where dirt, debris, and other things can trap, plus you're depriving the area of oxygen, which can have some issues with healing, especially with piercings, and we'll get into that later. So yeah, it's not your best option.
Nope. I've had the best results by doing the alcohol compress and just drying out the tattoo. I know normally that's not what you want to do. You can dry heal a tattoo and have great results. The reason we don't usually tell people that is because it's a lot tougher to get through your day without bumping your tattoo that's all brittle and crusty and not pop a scab off and have that scab remove some of the ink, and then your tattoo's not looking as good as it could have. So not only to keep you comfortable and less likely to fuck with it, we have you put that ointment on to give a little bit of elasticity to that scab so it can kind of move with you and not so likely to break or pop off or get knocked off. But when you're in an infection situation, I just completely stop any kind of ointments, and I will put an alcohol compress on it for a couple days. That almost always within 2 days just pulls all that infection out, dries it out. Once that's done, then you can kind of go back to your normal thing. You can start putting your lotions on it and stuff and everything else, and just being careful. But I've had really good luck with that. What do you?
And on that note, I would just want to point out that if it is that situation where you have to do an alcohol compress or something like that, and after the tattoo heals up there's some issues with it, more likely than not your tattoo artist is going to be happier to fix that tattoo up than hear about you having an infection. We definitely always want you to be healthy and have if your tattoo gets a little bit damaged in this process of getting it past the infection stages back to being healed, we would rather that happen for you and you come back and let us brush it up and fix it for you. Don't worry too much about losing some of that ink in the betterment of keeping your flesh attached to you
and keeping you healthy and everything else.
Exactly.
And remember too, infections are so very uncommon.
That was
very uncommon.
That was another thing I was going to say, is that the technology we have that's been growing so much better these past couple of years, that everybody's healing so much better that the window
for you to get an infection is shrunk.
Exactly.
And
the chance of contamination.
You will know if you're infected because there's not a whole lot of middle ground. It's either you're healing really well or it's really bad.
And if you have any question at all, come into the shop, or even sometimes with a picture and you describing it, we can tell. If it's a decent picture and your description is good, we can tell. And that's usually what I tell people, I mean, it's up to you, if you're concerned, obviously go to your doctor. If it was me, this is what I would do. And like I said, I really can't think of a time that didn't clear it up and it didn't help it. So, but like I was going to say, it's very, very rare for you to get an infection. I've been at it almost 26 years now, and I can probably count the number of infections I've seen on one hand, probably. It's very, very, very rare. Just take care of it like it's a wound, and it'll be fine. It's a superficial wound, and we get these little superficial wounds all the time throughout life. If you're like me, you ding your knuckle or you bump your arm and you get a little cut, or just enough to kind of get a little blood, just enough for it to get infected if it wanted to, and they don't. And the tattoo's just like that. It might be a little bigger, but it's really that superficial wound. And like you said, the quality of the needles, the pigments, the machines we're using are so much better that we're creating less of a wound, so it's going to heal up quicker, so that window's even shrinking even more. Plus the processes we follow about everything being disposable, wiping everything down with Maticide, washing the hands, keeping the environment, everything clean. It's really, really rare. But if you're in you went over and you slept at Sarah's house, 2 days later, and Sarah didn't change her sheets for a few months, and, you crashed in her bed. And this is her girlfriend, totally platonic, by the way. But, and, you happen to, she has a dog or something, sleeps in the bed, and you end up getting, that's usually how it's going to happen.
Very innocent actions can lead to something that can spiral out of control a little bit.
There's mean little things out there wanting to get into you all over the place, but do your due diligence, and you won't have to.
We're under constant attack.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at what point, like period time, if they are trying the alcohol method, would you really need to go see your doctor.
Yeah, within 2 days, it should really be calming down and be on the turnaround 180. If it's still, if you still got some swelling and heat there, that's like that active infection, you know. So that's I wouldn't. If it was me, 2 days at the end of that second night, if it wasn't definitely turning around
or got worse,
definitely I would go to my doc and get some antibiotics and get it cleaned up.
And one thing I've always told people is, if something comes up, come see me. I'm not gonna be mad at you.
Nope.
Come see me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be the first one to go, you know what? That's well beyond my help. You need to go see a physician now.
Yep.
Because I want you alive so you will come back
Absolutely.
again.
Absolutely. That is really job number one. Keep clients alive.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's my ongoing joke when everybody comes in and they're super nervous. It's like, well, I'll tell you this much. I've been doing this for 25 years, and I haven't killed anybody yet.
Right? You'd be the first. So even if I do kill you, think how famous you're going to be.
Yeah, you're going to be one of thousands. With piercing, it's a little bit different because it's a puncture wound.
Right.
And basically, in essence, when the alcohol thing is what you're doing is you're speeding up that process of your body rejecting the infection, of expelling it.
Right.
With piercings, you usually see redness, discolorization, heat where feels are inflamed or feverish, discharge that comes usually out in a milky or pus form, usually an odd color. You'll also have shooting and traveling pains, which are not normal, throbbing pain. Usually I tell people if you have one of those signs and it was done 2 days ago, it's probably just a normal reaction to the trauma. If it's 2 months into the process and suddenly this starts happening, then you probably want to be concerned, and it's probably going to show off at least 2 of those signs. If it's just showing off one of them, there's probably something else going on. Either way, I'm going to say, come see me.
Yep.
And it's like when I answer a lot of questions on here in the comment section, and I'm happy to do that. But one of the things I always try to stress is I can't tell you what's going on because I can't sit there and physically assess the area and sit down with you and go through the process of figuring out if it's an infection or not.
Right.
With infections, I generally suggest continuing with the aftercare the way it is, the hot soaks with the warm water and sea salt, compresses, etc. Especially if they've been just using the saline spray, I'll be like, yeah, try compresses and soak because that heat will help draw things out of it.
Now, say they have like a navel piercing. How would they soak a navel piercing?
Oh, you mix it up, take an eighth of a teaspoon per cup of warm water.
Okay.
You suggest using distilled water because your tap water might be clean enough to drink, but it isn't necessarily that clean. Plus, it has a lot of chemicals in it. Heat it up in the microwave about a minute until, like you would if you were warming up coffee or cocoa. Drop in an eighth of a teaspoon of sea salt, let it dissolve. It'll taste about as salty as your own tears. Yes, everybody knows what their own tears taste like. Pretty much everything that comes out of your body, most people have tried it.
Whoa! Now we're adult rated for sure.
Accidentally or
Goodbye
on purpose.
monetization.
Accidentally or on purpose.
Right.
Anyway, and then you would put that. I suggest using disposable medicine cups, just basically because they're always clean and they're easy to dispose of. You can use like a shot glass or something else. You put it against the area and then rock backwards so you create a vacuum. Compresses, you do basically the same thing, except take a paper towel, fold it up into a small square, soak up the substance laid against it, and constantly re-submerge so it stays warm. If that doesn't start to, and usually I say if it hasn't started to clear up in a couple days, that you might want to try an antibacterial cream. Not ointment, cream. You don't want anything in there that's petroleum-based for the reasons we talked earlier. If that doesn't start to clear it up, go see your doctor because you're going to need antibiotics. And the problem with piercings, especially long piercings or piercings that are in widths, is that infection can form deep inside the body and not even show signs for a while, and then it'll come out and suddenly be an abscess. A year into the healing process.
Wow.
And anybody that's out there that's got no piercer and they said, yeah, I'll lance that for you, you should have walked out of there as quickly as you possibly could. I do not lance boils or bumps or anything, mainly because I don't have the expertise to know how deep that needle is going and whether or not it's going to end up in a blood
Right.
Yeah,
you could.
And you shouldn't pop them yourself.
And
either.
could that cause a blood infection then?
Yeah, it would go septic.
Right. Yeah. Then you're in big trouble. So it's always best if you even have a slight, like I tell people when they leave, if you have any tiny little things running around your head that you aren't sure of or have a question about, fucking call us. I mean, that's why we're here. There's nothing funny about it. We're not going to laugh at you because what you think may be a silly question. That just shows us that you gave a shit, that you really are taking the time to take good care of it.
And I can guarantee you're not the 50,000th person that's asked that question. And we're happy to repeat it. And that's where like a lot of my videos come from. That's a lot where a lot of my blogs over the years have came from. Is I got to a point where I was just like, I was explaining the same thing over and over again. And I was like, I'm starting to notice myself getting repetitive and not getting into the details of why I'm saying things. So it just got easier to go, oh yeah, go check out this video, or go read this blog and learn something, and then maybe in the future you won't have this issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Teach a man to fish.
Yeah, right. But yeah, just if you think even for a second that there might be something wrong, the quicker you act and ask us, the quicker we'll be able to set your mind at ease and or get you on the path to not having whatever problem you're having. So
and usually when you go see a doctor, they're going to probably put you on. And it's kind of the same thing with the tattooing. They're going to tell you probably to take it out. It's a foreign object. Your body doesn't want it there. That's the whole reason why this is going on. Or they're going to say you're probably having an allergic reaction to the material. And the thing is that the two are so similar in reaction between allergic reactions and infection.
Right. That's very true.
And allergic reactions, usually they react almost immediately. So if you've got a piercing on, let's say, well, this is going out on a Sunday, so if you got a piercing on Saturday and there's rash and it's red and it's agitated, you're having an allergic reaction. But if you have some of those weird reactions 3 months down, nothing changed in the structure of that jewelry, so you're not doing it. So they're going to tell you to take it out most of the time, not all the time, and then they're going to put you on an antibiotic. And what they're trying to do is they're covering their bets. They're going, I don't know, it looks like an infection to me, but it may be allergic reaction. So here's some Ibupro, or here's some moxicillin or whatever they prescribe, and take the jewelry out. Because that way both their bets are hedged.
And more than likely that's going to cause the problem, even though half of what you did had nothing to do with the problem. But yeah, they want to fix you, and they don't care about if you've got your earring or not.
And they're going to be happy if you come back in 3 months and you have an abscess to pop that for you.
Right.
And they're probably going to enjoy it. That's why that pimple person is so big now.
Now, you don't want to, if you think you have an infection and a piercing, you don't want to take that jewelry out, right?
The problem removing the jewelry during the healing process, when you think you have an infection, is that the holes can close, possibly trapping the infected tissue and fluids inside your body. Your body will then react by two things will happen. One of two things will happen. Either it'll turn into an inward traveling infection, which is extremely dangerous because it starts to spread into other tissue. If left untreated, could possibly turn septic or cause permanent tissue loss, basically gangrene will set in. That's extremely rare, but it is possible, and I've seen documented proof where like somebody got their ear cartilage done, they let this infection just go full on, didn't take care of it, and then it started breaking down the cartilage tissue, and they're just completely deformed. What commonly will happen is your body will isolate the infection and then slowly, painfully try to push it to the surface in the form of an abscess or a cyst. And if you've ever had one, you understand what I'm talking about. They're not fun.
No fun.
No fun there.
No. Doctors might love them. They get splunking around.
So basically what your body's, like I said, it's expelling it. It's a foreign pathogen, it's an alien, and wants to get rid of it, and it's going to do everything it can to push it to the surface and get rid of it. And expel them. They're the bouncer. Your immune system's the bouncer of your body.
And it loves you very much.
Yes.
Even if
because
you
it
say,
doesn't exist without
even if
you.
You're like, but honey, I want this here. I really do. It's like, no. It's like an abusive husband almost, without the abuse in the husband.
So before we finish out, what would you say, what areas of the body for tattoos, we kind of talked about a little of this last time, would you say are more prone to infection than other parts? Hands and feet, of course.
Hey, I was going to say some of maybe the zones that are a little more active with your daily interactions. And maybe some of the sweatier areas. I don't know. What kind of areas would you think?
Usually sweat doesn't cause problems.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm thinking. Maybe those are the areas, not the sweat itself, but just those areas.
Dark moistness.
Yeah, those kind of areas. But
yeah, I mean, other than really, feet just being extra long to heal a lot of times and being down to where the dirt is, tough places to heal. I'll say, that could lead to more possibility of infection because they do take longer to heal would be around the ditch area, especially on this outside elbow spot.
Yeah.
People have a hard time not using their arms throughout the day, if you can believe it. And so what they're doing is every time they move their arm and extend it, they're causing another. They're
Breaking
poking the bear
open.
Yep. They're reinitiating a wound almost. So it's got to go. Okay, I'm going to heal that. Okay, again. Motherfucker.
Yeah.
So then I go, I'll go heal it again. So because you're doing that, and it's close to everything you're doing. This area can get kind of angry longer. Gosh.
I haven't seen, the infections are such a rare thing. It's hard to say that there's one spot that sticks out more than others as a prone area that can get infected.
Because it's really not about the area. It's about
how you
properly applying it and then how you're taking care of it after it was
and habits.
applied.
Exactly.
Because I think a lot of people don't really, I always call it lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
And piercings is more prone to that because we have a much longer healing period usually.
Sure.
But yeah, it's changing the way you do certain things that maybe you're not even aware of because it's never been an issue before because you never had to worry about touching surfaces and touching your face.
Right.
You never had that, or touching surfaces at the mall
Mm-hmm.
and then touching your tattoo because it's brand new and you don't really think about it.
Yeah, when I went to California years ago and I got my left forearm done, I got it done in 2 days back to back because I didn't want to have to keep going back to California. So I sat for 2 long sessions and got my whole left forearm from my elbow to my wrist done. And so the next day after the tattooing was done, I flew home, and luckily I had the middle seat in the middle aisle. And I had my entire left forearm tattooed.
Yeah.
So if you've ever flown in an airplane in the middle seat, where do you put your arm if you can't put it down because it's tattooed?
Yep.
So I flew back sitting in my seat on the airplane like this.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that's all I could do. And man, you want to know how many times you put your arm down, get your freaking forearm tattooed. It's like, oh no, it fucks you up, and it really is. It's like having one arm for a while. And I was gonna do everything I could to take care of this the best I could because the guy was in California. I mean, I couldn't just walk in and go, hey man, there's a little light spot in there.
Yep.
So yeah, it can be really something trying to figure out how you're gonna get through your life the next couple of weeks with. And still keep that tattoo not only healing good, but uninfected and out of the sun and everything else.
Yeah, and because it's a larger area, I think it impacts things a lot more than maybe a navel piercing. But then at the same time, you have to change habits. You can't sleep in your stomach anymore. You can't wear those pants that come up to your armpits. You can't lift things and set it against your stomach. Every time I've ever seen somebody rip one out or came across it, I was stocking the beer cooler and I got caught between this and that, and next thing I know, it was on the floor. Yeah, there's that lifestyle change, but it's different in both of them. I think. Yeah,
and both they just take responsibility. And some people, they get a new car, a new baby, whatever. They can't take their eyes off it. They're always putting lotion on it. They're making sure everything, they just can't take, it's all about it. And other people are like, I'm going to go to the bar. You just stay with the kid, So people are like the same way with their freaking tattoos.
Yeah.
Some they're just almost overdoting.
Yeah.
And then some just like, I'm the wet in here. I just lit it on fire. So, but usually people fall in the middle somewhere.
And the thing with reopening the wound,
what
that does is your body has a limited amount of resources to work off of.
Exactly.
And this is why your health and your diet and getting sleep and not doing what I did last night, which is go out and have a couple too many beers and some mystery shot of I don't even want to know what was in there. It didn't feel good today, let me tell you. Is in being healthy during that healing process. Yep. In giving your body the building blocks that it needs to produce that tissue, whether it's a piercing or a tattoo.
Yep.
So that's something else to think about. I think that a lot of people don't really ever consider.
That's why I'll have probably a big reason. I'll have some people come in and they'll say, man, I couldn't believe the thing was healed in like 3 days. Didn't scab, did nothing. It's just, I couldn't believe it. Never had a tattoo do that in my life. And then you'll have other people come in and, might take
traumatic.
Yeah, it might take a little extra longer, or they might have had a little rougher heel. Well, that all comes down really to those small little things. How are your health? What is your job? How did you all those little things. So
I personally noticed a difference when I was working collections to after I quit that job.
Yeah.
And the quickness that I was healing piercings and the quickness that I was healing tattoos, because I wasn't stressed all the time.
It just destroys you.
And I was eating healthier and I was getting more rest.
Yep. Man, now buy our vitamins.
Have I told you about those exciting products?
And sponsored by...
Oh, well, the only sponsors we have here are, a tattoo shop, a body piercing shop, and, a caffeinated beverage. So, you've been listening to Q&A in the Kitchen, recorded on location in the fabulous Skin Kitchen Tattoo in Des Moines, Iowa. Of course, I was DaVo, Jack, Wesley. This was brought to you in part by Skin Kitchen Tattoo. Death Before Decaf in the Axiom Body Piercing Studio. We do post these every other Sunday, either the podcast version or the video version. You can find us pretty much anywhere podcasts are living and breathing and doing all the things that podcasts do. Also, we will post it on this channel. There'll be links in the description to find those too. Also, check out our merch store. We do sell a number of designs, some that are available here at the shop and some that are not. So check that out. Link in the description. Did I forget anything?
Like us and give us a
like us and subscribe to the channel.
And like each other. Yeah, just be nice to people.
Yep.
People are just not nice enough to people. Be nicer. Okay. Yeah, I think that's all.
And have a good day. And I hope that all your tattoos and piercings heal with ease and without issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, we hope to see you for your tattooing and body piercing needs in the future.
Godspeed.
Have a good day, guys.